Welcome back to Insights. In our last episode, we explored 5 powerful moments when courage matters most: anchoring yourself to your values, reframing risk, sharing bold ideas, standing up for fairness, and treating feedback as a gift. Those were the big, visible moments, the ones that can define a career, shift a culture, or change the trajectory of a project. But there's another side to courage that's just as important and often overlooked: the quieter, everyday ways we practice it. These aren't the headline moments. They're the smaller, routine acts that, over time, shape how safe people feel to contribute and how strong an organization becomes. Let's look at a real world example. In 2024, Microsoft engineers raised concerns about AI safety during a rollout. Now, leadership could have dismissed those worries or treated them as inconvenient roadblocks. But instead, they created open forums where dissenting voices were invited and valued. These weren't whistleblower stories splashed across the news. They were small, structured acts of candor, people choosing to speak up, and leaders choosing to listen, that improved the product and reinforced trust. That's everyday courage at work. So, what does this look like for us in our own roles and teams? I'd like to share 5 ways you can incorporate this subtle yet powerful form of courage into your daily routine. The first is to normalize candor in meetings. Don't just allow disagreement, actively invite it. Ask questions like, who sees this differently? Or, what might we be missing? This shifts the dynamic from passive acceptance to active engagement. When people know it's not only safe but expected to voice concerns or alternative ideas, candor becomes part of the culture. And remember, sometimes the most valuable contributions come from the quietest voices, so make it a practice to draw them out. Second, use stories to lower defenses. Facts are necessary, but they can hit hard and trigger resistance. Stories connect emotionally and create context. For example, instead of saying this plan is flawed, you might share, on a similar project last year, we hit delays because of X, and I'd hate to see that repeat. The story softens the delivery, but still carries the weight of the message. It's a way of making difficult points approachable without losing clarity. Third, ask questions instead of accusations. It's easy to say, this won't work, but that usually shuts doors. A better approach is to ask, how might this impact our clients or our compliance process? The question frames the concern constructively and keeps others engaged in the problem-solving process. Questions signal curiosity instead of confrontation, and that shift creates space for collaboration rather than defensiveness. Fourth, stand with allies. Sometimes courage isn't about being the first to speak, it's about being the second. When a colleague raises a point, please support them. Add context, reinforce their concern, or say, I agree, and here's why. Too often, the first person to speak up feels exposed, like they're standing alone. But when others stand with them, it validates their courage and encourages more voices to join in. Courage multiplies when it's shared. And finally, practice in smaller moments. Courage isn't only for crises or high-stakes meetings. It grows like a muscle, and you strengthen it through daily use. Ask a clarifying question. Suggest improving a process. Flag a small risk before it escalates into a larger one. These small reps build confidence and prepare you for the more challenging, higher pressure moments when speaking up is more difficult. Here's the key takeaway. The first 5 moments of courage we discussed last time were about when to speak up. These follow-up 5 are about how to weave courage into your daily rhythm. They're the habits: inviting candor, telling stories, asking questions, backing allies, and practicing daily, that create a culture where people don't hesitate to speak up. And when you build these habits consistently, you'll find that when the big tests come, the ones that do make headlines, you and your team will already be prepared. If this resonates with you and you'd like to explore how to cultivate a culture of everyday courage, consider reaching out for a conversation. Together, we'll turn those small, subtle acts into lasting impact. Until next time, continue to empower yourself and others to achieve more and make a difference.